what I find holds a lot of business owners back is not what's in their life, it's what's in their heads, and it's what's in their hearts. They oftentimes, because of getting into things that they shouldn't be doing, into all kinds of mischief and tasks that are not their strengths, what happens is they lose a certain relationship with themselves. They lose a trust level with themselves or their situation. They fall out of trust with things that are going to get done. They say, well, you know, it didn't turn out this way because I got burned, or I got injured, or I got wounded, because they walk into their weaknesses and they start making mistakes. They start fiddling around with all kinds of activities and areas that they want more to control than letting them go and making sure they support their best abilities and where their passions really are. But the path they usually go down is into this path of imprisonment. It's really false imprisonment. They start going into this path of they're prisoners of their own machine. They become so limited by what they've done to themselves. You wonder if it's the victim of the system, but it's truly a system of the victim. And if we can look at it that way, they're caught up in a system or a pattern or a structure in which they help actually create. Because they're so knowledgeable, they have so many years at this, the greatest limit is their own method. They have a method for things. They become so good at things that they fall back on that which is good. And when you get complacent like that, it's very similar to an elephant that's tied to a stick. I call it the elephant principle. That when you're tied to a stick, if you're an elephant, you can only walk in the circumference of this stick. You become conditioned to that which the stick permits you to walk in. You have a chain around your ankle and you're walking in the circumference, and then suddenly the stick is removed and you only operate within that circumference because you're operating in the level of familiarity that you have. So you're up to a certain point and everything is familiar. Even if it's painful, it's still familiar to you. But when you come at life with, I'm going to start with nothing, that doesn't mean I'm going to obliterate everything. It just means that nothing I'm going to go for is going to be based on my current situation. What I am going to bring into existence, what I'm going to cause to exist in the world, is something that is only sacred to me, and I don't need to justify it to anybody else. When you come to that point of suddenly I'm waking up to what it is that I really, really want to create, everything that's gotten so complex has to start taking a seat, because the old method is not going to work. And this doesn't mean you're going to solve the problem of your method. It doesn't mean you're going to push through the bad habits. It means that you're not going to be at issue with them. And by creating new ground in your life, by imagining what you want to have exist and acting upon it, suddenly a lot of these things start to go away anyway. You outgrow them rather than remove the problems. And I just noticed that today's boardrooms are filled with problems. We're filled with negative vision. That we want to send away all the things that we don't like. Oh, I don't like this feeling, I don't like that. Oh, I didn't like what that woman did to me, I don't like that. I don't like what that customer did, I don't like that. And so we go through a life of preventative care. We are preemptively striking, seeing if we can reject them before they can reject us. End the situation before we could do it, because it's a simple control mechanism that we might feel. We are full of memory. We have been given the ability to remember things. But we must give thought its right place. Sure, we need thought to drive a car, we need that to speak, I need this to do what I'm doing with you, I need to present things, I have skills. But when I actually move forward in my life, everything I see is either what it is or it's in my thought. My thought, we have mental models in our minds that are just simple mental representations of what we see. So I'm looking at this camera right now. The only way I know it's a camera is because I see it, but I am not accurate in my perception because I cannot see the back and the side of the camera. The only way I can see it is through the cameraman that's filming me right now. And he can tell me, JD, this is what I see. And I say, well, this is what I see. And we say, it's holographic. It's a camera. We can see it three-dimensionally. It has to be seen by everybody. You cannot live forward growing if all you're going to do is move ahead in your rigidity of your own answers. You have a lot of experience, but you don't have answers. You have a lot of experience, but you don't have answers. So you have to access your ignorance. And if you're comfortable enough with it, then you'll seek out teamwork. Other people will come to your aid. Unforeseen forces will rush to your aid to help you. But you've kept this wall up to prove and to project and to to operate from a completely different place of attention, and we call it downloading. Downloading is when you're taking your existing frames, your rules and dogma and your traditional ways of thinking, and we actually impose our theories right on reality. We start to interpret what's really going on when we tell ourselves lies. And this is what the entrepreneurs often do, is they tell themselves lies. They go through a number of self-deceptions. What they see is not what's going on. And so they operate on the assumption of intentions. They think they know what this person's doing, but it's not in fact true. And we get caught up in these assumptions to the point where we react on them and we get into trouble. Now, I'm not implying that we need to fix you, or that I'm going to go after your issues, or that we need to take what's wrong with you and try to fix it. What I am saying is you can change your levels of awareness on what it is that you see. And maybe if you could suspend your judgment that way, take the carrot out from in front of your eyes, you might just see something opening up, looking out the window, taking the curtain aside, that's much different than what you imposed on it. So if I had glasses on that were tinted, I would take them off and I would look outside the lenses directly. Now what I find is that when you look that way, what you see is what you love. And when you do that, something changes the inner condition of you, the inner weather system of you, in a way where you start to change with it. You begin to see an emerging quality in yourself when you shift the inner place from which you're attending to the situation. In fact, I might even be able to suspend my judgment to the point where I can actually come to a place of empathy toward that which is going on. I can actually listen from the periphery to what it is that's going on and develop that capacity for empathy. And then I may get to a place where I don't even have to think about it. There's no thought. It's fully empty. And all I have to do, or all I can do, is just move with right now. Right here, right now. Completely suspending my own self from that, just being here right now in this moment with you and working from there. What if I could accurately come back to that point? What if I could develop a capacity to actually see what's going on? What would that imply within the context of what I'm creating? I know what I want to create, but I know what actually is going on. I know what I want to create, but I'm able to compare my actual circumstances to what I want to create. Then I'd know where to adjust. Then I'm a splitter. And I cultivate splitters. I think splitters are people who have an attention that's different, a capacity to kind of bring together spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, all they are to that which they want to create. Because they're able to stay with what they desire, what they truly want in their hearts. And their hearts have the capacity to have compassion for what it is that's going on the way. So they make adjustments. And something else moves through them. They become creatively intuitive. They become receptive to that which is going on, almost in a way where they are moved by something rather than moving something. They're moved by it. The experience is something of blending with it. So when I get the entrepreneurs to start looking at this and opening up to these realities and really looking at them and things looking back at them, their conversations change. Their connectedness changes. Their sense of their entire beingness changes. Their level of here-ness and now-ness changes. Their quality of life goes up. And this is very exciting. And then it begins to open up so much more. The doors begin to open up and they begin to say, wait a second, I'm seeing where things are needed to go. I'll go there. So it's like context in motion. You're riding a wave and you're sensing what the wave wants to do as a surfer, but you also know your intention on the wave. So I have my attention and my intention. What I intend to do is where I'm paying attention from. And what I'm attending to is shaping my intention. It's receptive and active. So what if I could hold that space? What if most of the time my consciousness was knowing what I really want to create and what's actually going on, and comparing those two discrepantly all the time? Those two are seeking resolution. They're seeking to close. That's where learning happens. That is exciting.